They literally suspended the entire Constitution. You guys understand that, right? Yeah.
It became clear to me that that was just a bridge too far, that people were not going to accept the government telling them what to do.
Protests against virus-related shutdowns gain momentum across the US, and government officials are apparently starting to listen. In a Sunday interview, Ohio Governor Mike DeWine admitted his order to mandate the use of face masks by everyone in the state was an overkill and had to be reversed. But despite this early victory, protesters have yet to enforce their main demands.
They literally suspended the entire Constitution. You guys understand that, right? Yeah. If they continue to keep this economy shut down, okay, there's going to be a tipping point and our country will be absolutely destroyed. Do you understand that? Yeah.
Over this past weekend, anti-lockdown rallies flared up mostly in Democrat-controlled states that notoriously imposed the most draconian restrictions over the past few weeks. In New York, scores of protesters took to the residence of Governor Andrew Cuomo, saying a statewide lockdown failed to deter the virus.
It's not about flattening the curve anymore. It seems like just taking more and more control.
For their part, citizens of Oregon say the state must get back to work, saying unemployment, poverty and depression are killing more people than the virus itself. And protesters in Chicago, Illinois agree, saying officials must quarantine the sick, not the healthy. However, many governors are still defiant of their citizens' demands, with some openly saying the protests are too small to make them change their minds.
A couple of dozen people did so yesterday, and they have every right to do that. Sadly, we had far more people die yesterday in Maryland than we had protesters.
Meanwhile, even California, supposedly a Democrat stronghold, is showing signs of growing discontent. From San Francisco to Los Angeles to Orange County, citizens denounced Governor Gavin Newsom, saying virus lockdowns are killing their jobs and businesses, pushing families to the verge of homelessness, and violating the U.S. Constitution.
We're standing on principle. So Americans under the Constitution have a right to assemble, they have a right to pursue happiness, and this draconian effort is definitely government overreach.
In this light, a partisan divide over coronavirus response is becoming a prominent factor in this year's elections. While Republican-run states are bracing to reopen this week, some say Democrats are more inclined to sacrifice their economic and political freedoms for the illusion of safety.
Sweden never locked down, and despite what you have likely heard, Sweden is still no worse off than a lot of Europe. States in this country like South Dakota, Iowa, and Arkansas did not issue shelter-in-place orders ever. Yet all three of those places were below the national average in coronavirus cases and in deaths. Denmark and the Czech Republic loosened restrictions and have seen, at this point, no surge in new cases. So it's pretty clear that in many parts of this country, we could almost certainly do the same. And yet some cities and states will not consider doing this. In fact, if anything, they're moving in the opposite direction. As the pandemic appears to recede, at least for the moment, their restrictions are becoming tighter. And that's when you know this isn't really about public health, it's about making mediocre people more powerful.